Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network on a key factor to the Browns offense in 2024.
To me, the key too, if you look at Jedrick Wills and DeJuan Jones, those guys both at 25 and 23 years old are very gifted, very talented. When DeJuan Jones was out there last year, he looked like he should have been a top 10 pick in the draft the way that he played. So that is kind of a key part to that offense, and I think that would help Deshaun Watson get those guys healthy, get those guys playing well, and then those turn into true building blocks when you look at their age and talent. I think that's something fascinating.
Sam, when you look at it, you've got your tackles coming off injury, Conklin, Jones, and Wills. Bitonio and Teller are getting up there in age. They've played at a high level, but is there a reason for concern? This line that's been really good, there might be a transition coming in the not too distant future?
Yeah, I think it's a future problem rather than a present problem. Like, I think that's still one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And with Philadelphia, dealing with some transition themselves for the first time in a while, losing, a Hall of Fame center like Jason Kelce, number one is up for grabs in the NFL. I think it's probably Detroit right now, but Cleveland could be the best offensive line in the NFL this year. But you're right. Those guys are starting to get up in age. There is a transition coming. You've got a guy like DeJuan Jones, who I think should be starting, but it's difficult to figure out how to get him in the lineup right now. Jack Conklin is a bit of an injury question mark. So you probably want to keep Jones on the right side in case you need him later in the year. But on merit, he might deserve to be starting at left tackle over Jedrick Wills based off what we've seen so far from both of those guys in the NFL. So yeah, I think this year it should be a fantastic offensive line, but they definitely should be planning what that line looks like over the next few years, because there are some decisions coming down the pipe. Absolutely.
That new offensive line coach, Andy Dickerson, how good of a young offensive line coach is he?
Yeah, I think he's a really good offensive line coach. And I think this is a really interesting group because Jedrick Wills was a top-end talent, right? But he's, I think, underachieved so far in the NFL and hasn't been the player that he was expected to be so far. On the other hand, a guy like DeJuan Jones was slipped in the draft, maybe had first, second-round talent, slipped in the draft, and then looked like he absolutely had first-round talent based off his play last season, but is an unusual type of offensive tackle. He's this giant man mountain of a player, and it's not always going to look pretty, but he tends to get the job done, particularly as a pass blocker. So it's an unusual group to be working with, but I think definitely one where a good offensive line coach can actually move the needle here.